This video is brought to you by patreon.com/worsttake. Get access to exclusive live streams and Discord servers, on-screen shoutouts, and early access to some videos when you join now. Help make sure that we can continue to make content like this by supporting the Patreon. Links are in the description down below. Ain't it funny how one game just changes everything? Like, just changes everything, right? Like, we went from, oh man, the people panicking about the Cavs, you know. I was under, and I think you were there with me, where we were like, yeah, it's obvious why they lost this game. Like, yeah. It was obvious. Like, this wasn't like we lost this game to the Knicks. And I know Knicks fans were mad at me. You're not giving us some props. And I'm like, this is just what happened. Cavs missed layups. They missed rebounds. And they miss free throws at an abnormal rate.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to do that all series. So, like, yeah, they let this game go. The Knicks caught them off guard. They out-muscled them in the fourth quarter. And the Cavs let a game go that they shouldn't have.
Right.
And the only question was like, hey, are we going to do what we need to do in game two? And I expected to win that game by 20. I was still shocked at how they got there. Like...
Yeah, I was pretty surprised too. Like, I really did think game two was going to be a bounce back, because you just figure the law of averages, like, you're not going to shoot that poorly again across the board, other than Donovan, who had 38 points in the first game. You just figure it's almost impossible for that to happen twice in a row. But I didn't expect it to come from so many different areas. Like, I was disappointed with the way DG played in game one. I think he only took one shot in the fourth quarter. And of course, you don't want to see that from your star point guard. But for him to play the way he did in game two, it just unlocked another level of what this team can do. Like, this team, when it's just Donovan playing well, and the way he played in game one, is a good basketball team. But we are a great basketball team when we have our other star players playing at a high level, getting involved, even just one of them, like for DG to step up the way he did. Donovan didn't even have to do that much. He was I think he had like a lot of assists in that game, but only ended up with maybe 17 points. It just makes things a lot easier for the team, and it makes things tougher for the Knicks in those situations, because they don't know who is going to be playing well at any given moment, or if a lot of guys are making shots. Like, Karras was making shots too. Danny Green had some nice moments, wasn't really prepared for that either. I just think it catches the other team off guard more, and just reminds us that we are the better team in this series. Like, we know that to be true, I think, after watching these two games now.
Yeah, and one of the things like about this series and about the dynamic, and it's one of the things I kind of expect, and it's not because people are being like nefarious. There is a energy around the Knicks where people do want the Knicks to be better because they are a good television product, right? Like, the Madison Square Garden is a fun playoff environment. Mm-hmm. A lot of the energy behind why people thought this Cavs-Knicks series is going to go to 7 is because they wanted to go to 7, because they want to see all the Madison Square Garden games, right? Like, that there was the same idea between when they played the Hawks in 2021. But they have the same problem that they had back then. And the reason I don't think they're really, we ignored a lot of the issues that they had. And one of the biggest issues is, what do we talk about being the most important thing in the playoffs? You need dudes who can get their own shot.
Shooting, yep.
They don't have that. They have Jalen Brunson, who's a great like shot creator. He's not elite.
He's impressed me very much. Like, in game one, he was just cooking us for sure. Yeah. And obviously stopping him more in game two helped us a lot.
Yeah. But he's also not elite, right? Like, he's not somebody who can't be stopped. And then he's not a very long guard. He has like very small, like not small, but short arms. You could put Evan Mobley on him, get him in some compromising situations, and you're not going to shut him down, but you're going to significantly slow him down. And the problem that the Knicks have is, who else is getting the bucket? Who's getting the buckets now? Yeah. Like, they had 39 points in the first half. Like, I know Knicks fans are saying it was a bad game. 39 points in one half of basketball tells me much more than a bad game. Like, and it wasn't like you were shooting historically awful from 3 or from the floor. It wasn't one of those nights. You got 39 points in the first half. That is indicative of a team that has figured something out about you.
Yep.
right? Like,
Right. Well, and like you said earlier, like our bad game, we lost by 4. Their bad game was atrocious. Like there's different levels of bad games to make it pretty clear, I think, the difference between the two teams.
and they keep saying, "Oh, it's just a bad game."
Yeah.
It wasn't a bad game until the Cavs decided to just go all out, because the game was close in the first quarter. They weren't playing especially bad. Where this thing really got out of hand for them is when the Cavs figured out they have nobody else that can shoot the basketball or get their own shot. So let's not even pretend. Let's not even pretend like it, and start doubling Jalen Brunson. And the second that happened, all of a sudden the turnovers started happening. That wasn't, they just went out there and played a bad game of basketball. That was the Cavs did something that forced them to be terrible. This wasn't like the game one was Karis LeVert was missing open layups. Evan Mobley was taking terrible shots, which was on Julius Randle. Like he was doing a good job defensively, but also Evan Mobley was missing a bunch of push shots. Same thing with Jared Allen. Same thing with Darius Garland. Like just a bunch of missed wide open layups. They didn't have none of that. The Knicks they weren't getting good shots because they can't get good shots, right? They were taking bad shots because that's all they could get. And that is where I'm like, unless the Cavs play like game one for the rest of the series, I really don't see how this series gets to 7. I know people are going to be like, you're biased, you're a Cavs fan. And of course that does weigh into my opinion about this, but I've seen a ton of series in the NBA. This kind of performance usually means, okay, we know what this is.
I think game 2 changed when Darius Garland tried to dunk. I mean, I was like, oh yeah, this game's over.
When he tried to go up on somebody, I'm like, yo, who said something to him?
I was like, what just happened? Literally, I sat there in the arena. I was like, I don't think I have ever seen him try to do that before. Like it just came out of left field. And I was like, oh yeah,
to dunk.
We're good now.
Dunk on somebody.
He tried to posterize that man.
He thought he was Donovan Mitchell. But that was another thing, right? With Darius Garland, we've seen him have big games and we've seen him have big halves and quarters. I've never seen him impose his will on a basketball game like that before.
It was
different. That was different.
Yeah.
Like it's not gonna, I don't know what it's gonna look like statistically as far as like his most impressive games. I think he's had more points before, obviously. But that was obviously his most productive half of basketball. He imposed his will in a way that I'm like, oh, I didn't know he could do that. Yeah. Like that was when JJ Redick sits on his podcast and says, hey, this dude reminds me of Chris Paul. This is what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Like that was like that's some stuff CP3 used to do in his prime, what DG's doing out here. That was like, that changed my perspective on DG, because I've always looked at him as like, he's an all-star, a couple-time all-star. He's a fringe second best player on a championship team, but really a third best player, kind of like in the same realm that we talk about. Not the same player, because Drew Holiday is a much different player, but the same realm of player that Drew Holiday is in, where he's the third best player on a championship team. I think that's where Darius Garland sits. That was like, I ain't never seen CJ McCollum do that, right? Like
crazy.
That he even had like, it was like he did the LeBron 3 where he just like took the step back and shot a deep 3 to just end a drive, and it was like, oh no, this is over. Like,
it was wild. You know what, the other thing I was thinking about though, on why I feel more confident after game 2, is that like I still don't even think this team unlocked everything in game 2, because Evan and Jarrett still haven't really been playing their best basketball. Like we have another level to go if Evan Mobley can do what he was doing for the second half of this season for the most part, and the way he was playing. He still felt a little bit, both Evan and Jarrett felt a little soft at moments just with the way they were attacking the game. And I think Evan needs to work on his shot making a little bit too, just kind of going up a little more lazy. I think he needs to, just try to impose his will a little bit more in those moments. But if he is able to even take another step or two into what he was doing this season, like we have unlocked another level for this team that the Knicks have not seen yet.
And I don't know what's going on with Jared Allen, right? Because he should be better than what he is offensively right now. But with Evan, I saw something in the fourth quarter that was interesting, because there was a play, he was like under the basket and he was ready to take that step back, not step back, but that fadeaway jumper that I hate that he takes all the time, right?
He loves it.
Yeah. he don't ever make it high enough
I know.
percentage to keep shooting it though.
Not really.
Right. So he's about ready to do that. And then he just decides, let me just try to go through Julius right now. And he does it and he gets through it. And then you can see that changed his energy for the rest of the game. And sometimes with Evan, it takes him figuring out that he has superpowers.
Yeah.
You know, he goes into it and he's like, well, I'm not as big as Julius Randle. But what he does have over Julius Randle, one of the famous things coming out of Julius Randle's draft, he has length.
Mm-hmm.
Much more length than Julius. So he doesn't have to give up his positioning just because Julius is strong. He can be long and get over him and force contact. And that's what I saw different from him, I think, in the second half of that game, was he started to figure out, even though I'm smaller than them, I can still be aggressive.
Yeah.
Jarrett Allen, I just think he hasn't been getting good lob passes either. Like Darius Garland, as good as he played from a shot making standpoint, was still throwing some bad lobs up to him. Don't know what's going on with that. Once those get down and Jarrett Allen gets like two of those lobs early in the game, I think we'll get a Jarrett Allen game here pretty soon.
Right.
But it also took them like realizing Mitchell Robinson is not good enough to keep me off these boards. Right.
Right.
It was an emphasis on offensive rebounding. It was an emphasis on not being out hustled. And if you don't get out hustled by the Knicks, that's the only way I really feel like they have to beat you if you play the level of basketball that you played all year, if you're the Cavs.
Well, I think the Knicks have been like a great offensive rebounding team all year because of that hustle. And I think game one was a reminder of that. There were, when the game was close at the end there in the last couple of possessions, we were not attacking the boards like we needed to. And they were able to get second, third chances, and it pretty much blew our chance of being able to win that game. So I think that was probably a wake up call of like, hey, we have to be aggressive and attack a little more in those situations because we have the height, we have the length. You have 2 7-footers on this team. You should be able to get more of those rebounds in those situations and be winning those battles one-on-one if they, come in with that power and strength that they need to have.
And that was such an interesting game one, because it seemed like the only person who knew what it was Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah.
And you could, and this has been building up with Donovan, right? Because it felt that way for the last week of the season. Remember, he went on that 40-point tear.
Yeah,
like
for
6
no
straight
reason.
games of 40 points.
For no reason at all.
The reason was he was trying to wrap up seeding.
That's
right?
true.
He was trying to get home. We just needed 2 more wins.
Yeah.
And he had to go. Rest. Yeah, he was like, hey, we need to get in play. Like, I think Donovan was telling them like that we need to be in playoff mode. And they're thinking, oh, we are in playoff mode.
Right.
And then they found out what playoff mode was. Like, part of why Darius Garland had a terrible fourth quarter was because he got caught watching the Jalen Brunson, Donovan Mitchell show like everybody else, right?
Yeah.
He forgot he was in the game.
Right.
Because he's like, whoa, what is going on here? Donovan's diving on everything. Like, this is different than anything I've ever played at. Also, something to note. Remember, Darius didn't play college basketball, didn't play in his tournament, right? Like, this is his first real postseason experience, and I'm pretty sure AAU playoffs ain't like that. You know what I mean? Like, or South Carolina state championship, like it ain't like that. It's just not that level of exertion, especially when you're an NBA caliber lottery pick at 18 years old. So they were figuring out like, oh no, right? This is different, right? Evan Mobley, cool Evan Mobley. Sometimes he's so cool he don't realize it's ratcheted up a little bit. Same thing with Jarrett Allen. And same thing, like the Cavs have a bunch of like really calm dudes, and that helps.
Yeah.
But I think also one of the things that hurt them was they were real calm coming into it, and they didn't realize your calmness gonna have to jump up a little bit. And they got caught, I think, by the Knicks off guard.
Yeah.
But it was up to them to be like, hey, are we gonna let them think that they got something over us, or are we gonna let them know who we here? And emphatically, they let them know who's here.
Well, see, game one was why they needed 2 Lamar Stevens minutes to kick some fire into them. But, I can't have everything. I was saying the whole night. I can't have everything I want, I guess.
I was like, get Lamar Stevens in there to take a charge. And
literally,
then,
I'm not asking for him to get 20 minutes. I'm like, just throw him out there. Let him do something crazy. Slap some people around. You can take him back out then. It's fine. But like, he does always bring that energy. And I think potentially on the road in MSG, which I'm curious to hear what you think of just how they're going to be in terms of energy on the road. I think Lamar Stevens could be someone beneficial just for a couple minutes if the energy is low, if they're a little too calm and they're not rising up to the moment. You got to get something going at some point.
I think it actually benefits them that their first road playoff series is against the Knicks. And this is because there's no way not to get excited about Madison Square Garden. Right. Like, everybody's hyping it up. In reality, it's a regular arena.
Right.
It's been around for a long time. It ain't that much louder than any other arena. It's just got a lot of history to it, right?
Yeah.
So it's not like it's going to be more difficult to actually play at MSG like a football stadium has like home field advantage. But it is Madison Square Garden. It's New York. You're going to have the A team on ESPN. You're the number one game. You're the number one game for the next 2 nights. You notice the Cavs don't play any of these games on NBA TV, right? Like usually the first round, one of these games are on NBA TV. No. All of these games are national, right? So you're in that situation. The lights are bright. All right. Like, this is what you're here for, right? Darius Garland wanted everybody to know, in his mind, he thinks he's just as good as Jalen Brunson, right?
Yeah.
I think in Donovan Mitchell's mind, I think he feels like it's a little disrespectful y'all equating me to Jalen Brunson. You know what I mean? I feel like I'm on a different caliber. I was in the MVP race for most of the year. And for Jared Allen, Evan Mobley, they keep talking like they can out physical you. That's your domain. Like, so it's up to them to prove that. They win both them games in Madison Square Garden. Everybody gonna have to shut up.
Yeah.
And honestly, I would take joy in it because I'm so tired of hearing about the Mecca. I'm so tired of hearing about MSG. It's the Garden. Like the last time we saw them play in MSG in the playoffs, Trae Young didn't cook them. But, like it's this impossible place to play basketball at, right? Like
it's like a mystical creature almost. Like, okay, it's still an arena, like you said. It still has people in it like every other arena, and people yell, and that's just.
And what makes home court advantage a thing in the NBA is when you have a superstar synonymous with the team playing.
Right.
It.
Which
you know what I mean? Like Staples, if Kobe goes off, that's a wrap. That's a wrap. Right. Steph and Clay start going off at Chase Center. Oh, that's a wrap. Right?
LeBron and Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse.
LeBron hit that step back 3 in the corner right there near the scorer's table where you get the chalk. It's a wrap, right? We have seen these things. The Knicks don't have anything like that because they haven't had the level of success in the modern age to have it.
Right.
You know what I mean? They don't have that. So it's just a building.
Yeah.
Like it's a lovely building and a lot of people respect it. The tickets are very expensive.
Very expensive.
But it's just a building. Right. Yeah. And I think that'll help the Cavs not get caught up in the minutiae. Also, being tied 1-1, you ain't got time, to take a game for granted. Right. You got that lesson. Maybe if they were up 2-0, they would have got smacked in the face in New York, right? Because that would have been right there, and then we would have had to hear it. But now they already got the smack in the face in game 1. They got the wake-up call because they lost that game. And, now it's up to them to make sure that you give New York a wake-up call because right now they could deny what happened in game 2 and say it was just a bad game. But if it happens in game 3 and it happens in game 4, it's time to bring them home. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm interested too, I think, to see what type of lineup we go with. Because, look, I was a little bit critical of JB after game 1. I felt like those 7 very long Dean Wade minutes were extremely hard to watch. I was like, we got to get this guy out of here. And I'll give JB the benefit of the doubt. It is very hard when nobody except Donovan Mitchell is playing well. Like, you can get mad rotations, but like if nobody's shooting, what is he supposed to do? But at the same time, like the Dean was a little rough. The Ricky minutes were rough. And it felt like it went on a little too long in some of the rotations that weren't working. But when it came to game 2, he did not play Dean Wade. Obviously it was, in general, easier to coach and make those rotations because like Karras was shooting well. Isaac had those 2 early fouls, so he was kind of done pretty early. But he did make those adjustments and did, go with what was working. So I give him a lot of props for that. And I'm just interested to see what we kind of go with at MSG, and honestly how the Knicks kind of adjust to what they just did in game 2 there. Like, I don't even they also just kind of have to shoot better. I'm not sure what type of changes they can make, but it'll be interesting to see.
I'm going to make the case for starting Danny Green.
Oh, wow.
I'm
Okay.
going to
I was
make the
not
case
ready
for
for
starting
that.
Danny Green.
I was not ready for that.
You're on the road. You're at Madison Square Garden. You don't want to give somebody inexperienced their first start in that situation, right? That is not a spot to put Karras in. You want Karras to feel as close to normal as possible.
Yes.
You
I
want
agree.
Jetty to feel as close to normal as possible.
A lot of Jetty time too. I forgot about that.
And look, Danny Green will start. He will not have the most minute. He will still have like 14 minutes, right? But I think he will start because he's a vet. He's used to being out there, and you can't leave him wide open. Like, you can leave him a little open, but you can't leave him wide open like they was leaving Okoro. Defensively, also, did not expect him to still have that physicality in him, right?
Yeah.
He was really physical. Like, he shut down Julius Randle for a couple possessions there.
Which is a beautiful. I didn't realize how much I hate Julius Randle until watching these two games. I'm like, new Cleveland person I just don't like. It is Julius Randle. I am there. I'm fully there.
Yeah, Knicks fans are there with you too. Like, but it was one of those things where I was like, okay, I think that's what you need to do, because you can't play Isaac in this series. It's just not doable. He doesn't do a good enough job on Brunson to justify it, and then we're seeing him lose confidence. And what happens when Isaac loses confidence? That defense becomes much worse because he starts fouling, starts rushing shots. It throws off the flow of the offense because instead of just taking open threes, he's pump faking, trying to drive to the cup. It just messes up everything because, again, he's still transitioning and trying to figure out how to be a role player and come off the bench. He's just not there yet. Right. But Danny, he started before in the NBA Finals a bunch of times. He's come off the bench before in the NBA Finals.
Right.
Nothing's going to shake Danny Green. Yeah. And I think you need to start that game off with as many people who aren't going to be shook by the whole thing, right?
Right.
Donovan Mitchell is not about to be shook by MSG or wrapped up by it. Now, Jetty might, this is why I don't want to start Jetty.
Yeah.
Jetty will take 20 shots.
Yeah, he's launching a three as soon as he gets
Jetty
the ball.
will be like, this is my coming out party. Like, I'm going to show America who Jetty Osman is. Yeah. You know what I mean? Oh, like, or Karras might feel the same way, where Danny Green's going to get out the way. If they crash like they've been doing, he can come in, space the floor, make a couple threes. And defensively, he's not the liability it looks like he's going to be when you see him running up and down the court. Right. Yeah. So I think that makes sense to do there. It would be a hell of a move by JB because he got no minutes in the regular season to go with it.
Which is almost so shocking. He just played 20 minutes in that game, because I was like, where was the use of him at all during the regular season? Like, it felt like we traded for or picked him up for a reason. So it was kind of crazy.
It was like right when we picked him up, I think I started playing well.
Yeah. Yeah. So then it was kind of weird. It was like, do you stop what Isaac is doing and halt his progress, which makes sense. But I do agree with you that I think Karras needs to stay where he is. I'm not interested in starting Karras because I just think when he's in his rhythm and doing what he does well, like you just don't want to mess with it, because I think it puts a lot of pressure then if you just move him over to the starting lineup. I would like to see him just continue what he did there in game 2, because I thought he played pretty well. So I'm not opposed to it, but I would be shocked if he actually made the move and put Danny Green in the starting lineup.
Yeah, it's one of those moves where it's like, I would love if you did it, but I can't expect that you're going to do it.
Right.
Because
it's bold.
It's a crazy move to do, right?
Yeah.
But it might be the move you need to. It's kind of like a Lamar Stevens thing, where it's like, we want Lamar Stevens in the game, but we kind of understand why it's hard to put him in. Like, especially against the Knicks where you need to space the floor. He's not a floor spacer. You're putting him in there for completely intangible reasons.
Yes. Which I'm a big intangibles girl. I don't know. It's something about it. I like the idea of it. I know it doesn't make logical sense, but
I remember I was at the Atlanta Hawks game, the first one where they got blown out in Atlanta, and the Cavs were down by like 20. And I was like, this is a great time to check somebody in, who's going to start a fight. You know what I mean? Just start.
Yeah.
This is a great. Like I remember thinking out like in my chair, like this is a good time to start a fight. Like you know what I mean? Sometimes you need that guy on the team. It's just like, all right, we're low. We need to get our energies up. I'm gonna start some trouble.
Yeah. It's kind of like when a coach like purposely tries to get thrown out to amp up his team a little bit, you know, like he starts yelling at the refs more. You're like, oh yeah, he's doing this just to
the
give
old baseball coach, like I'm
yeah.
gonna get thrown out to give my team a spark.
For sure.
Basketball, we need that. You know, look, I know you can't hard foul nobody no more, but you know, you could give somebody a nice little hard screen. You know what I mean?
Right.
Get a moving screen, be like, hell's on me. You
Yeah.
know, it just stand over them a little bit till you know an NBA brawl gonna break out, and you're like, all right, cool, everybody got the juices flowing. All right, let's go. You know, especially if you at home. That is the cheat code. Not enough teams do the fake fight. You lose it at home, start the fake fight, get the crowd going. Remember when Donovan Mitchell had almost a real fight against Dillon Brooks, and then the Cavs ended up winning that game by 20, and they was down 20 when it happened? Like
Dillon Brooks, not that this is about the Cavs, but that dude is just, he is NBA Villain of the Year award, man. He just keeps going.
I can't believe he was dressed like that when he said that about LeBron James. Like,
it's just so bad.
Like, LeBron James might break his toe again, trying to get 60.
Yeah.
Like, if he's going to give it everything he got. Well, what if he just woke up 2018 Bron? Like,
just for one game.
And then, remember, I told you this about that Memphis team.
Oh, yeah.
They kick it in a way that people the age of the dudes that's on the Lakers or the Warriors
hate it. Yeah.
Hate. They don't like them. And he gonna say that?
It's bold.
To LeBron, who needs no motivation?
Right.
Like, that's
kind of like the Michael Jordan like makeup motivation.
And now you got everybody talking about they don't talk to Mike like that. Now you know LeBron mad, because don't nothing make LeBron more mad than when they be bringing up Mike for no reason, right? So like what are you doing? And then you're Dillon Brooks doing this?
Yeah, it's bold.
This is where if Lamar Stevens was doing that kind of stuff, I'd be like, all right, man, you gotta stop. That's ridiculous.
Right.
But Dillon Brooks, really?
He wasn't even good. It was like you didn't even have a good game to warrant what you are doing right now. It's just, I don't know.
Draymond didn't even do that kind of stuff in Draymond's prime. And Dillon Brooks is so much worse than Draymond Green ever was.
Which is hard to do.
Like, Draymond Green was a much better player than Dillon Brooks. And Draymond Green even never tried to do that. Like, Draymond Green would push LeBron James. He wouldn't say nothing stupid like that, though. No. Like, that was, I hope for the young man's sake, that doesn't become something that he ends up like being famous for. It doesn't end up like being I'm gonna make them both moment for him.
Yeah.
But boy, honestly, don't it feel like
I feel like he has too many moments this season at this point for there to even be one moment. But it will be his moment if LeBron like goes off for 40 points next game. Then it will be his moment. But I mean, he had the Donovan stuff earlier. Like he's had too many moments.
And then you're gonna do that after game 2?
Yeah, right.
You're going to
I know. It doesn't make any sense.
Come out there with the number 24 jersey on. LeBron gonna bring back the headband, and you gonna be, oh my God. God.
Yeah. The playoffs have been fun so far. I feel like even outside of the Cavs series, I've enjoyed a lot of the games so far in the first round. Like Kings Warriors has honestly been pretty fun. I'm liking what I'm seeing so far.
Yeah, it's been a good playoffs. The East has been interesting. Miami ended up winning one of those games.
I know.
Off of Milwaukee again.
You knew they were going to get one. Like Miami is just annoying.
Everybody was upset with me when I was like, "Hey, man, you don't want Miami in the first round, right?" No. I would much rather play the Knicks than the Miami Heat, and I think I stand tall on that. Like, it's just with the Miami Heat, they don't even trust it in Miami. And that's what's making me like, what is going on there? Because like, that don't make any sense why they are not as good as they should be. But that's been interesting. We'll see what happens with this Cavs series. 2 big games in New York. Boy, I hope they win. Hey, I was hoping they win the second Stephen A. Smith showed up with that damn suit. All
Oh, I
right.
know.
You know what I mean? Like, I need that suit to go back in the closet. I need another Stephen A. Smith rant. You know what I mean? I need him to have the ultimate, we should have this man. I need a Donovan Mitchell. You know what I need? Donovan Mitchell to recreate the LeBronto buzzer beater from game 3 in Madison Square Garden. I need that to happen.
I like that.
You know what I mean? Like, blow them out in game 3, and in game 4, when they think they about to make a little run, and nah, dog, we up 3-1. It's a wrap.
We love a 3-1.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's just it's been an interesting series so far. I mean, the fans have been as advertised on both sides.
Oh yeah. I was talking to someone who works for the Cavs, and they said after game 1, more fights than they've ever had to break up. Like, it was chippy for sure, I've been in the game or in the arena for both games. I mean, so loud, so electric. It's been,
let me tell you,
a great environment.
The most happy people right now that the Cavs did not get the 3 seed are the security and staff of Philadelphia and Boston. Could you imagine a Cavs Boston or Cavs Philadelphia second round series? And I'm not even talking about on the court. These are those 3 like no matter which way you dice that up, that 3 combination of cities are 3 cities that have massive chips on their shoulders, feel like nobody else deserves to have a chip on their shoulder that they have, and are willing to fight about it. I don't think New York fans are really that willing to fight about it. At least New York, they not really willing to fight about it like that. They're like, oh my gosh, why are we so violent? But Philly fans and Boston fans, let me tell you.
It could happen. It could happen, man.
We are all the same. We just have different accents. That's like those 3 fan bases are the exact same. They just have had different levels of success in different accents. But there's nothing that separates a Cleveland fan from a Philly fan. Think about everything that those fans are famous for. We famous for the same thing. Throwing stuff at refs, making it a dangerous playing environment for our teams. Like, we have all done the same stuff. I'm happy for the security staff of those arenas that combination cannot happen in the second round because, oh God.
I'm ready for it. I'll fight someone. No, I won't. I won't fight anyone. I say that as if I would, but not me.
Oh man, I've seen these fights break out after Browns games. Like, I think it is a danger to society if the Browns keep playing the Eagles as they're playing as they're like preseason.
Yeah, we gotta cut that out.
It's like, man, it ain't gonna take much for somebody to take this too far. It ain't the players you gotta worry about. It's us in the stands. Bored at a preseason game, deciding we gonna talk some stuff. And that would be an explosive combination. And I think honestly, all the series have explosive combinations when it comes to the fan dynamics. Another slept on one. That Sacramento crowd, man. I heard somebody say something like, somebody was like, I think people forgot that Sacramento used to be one of the best crowds in the NBA when they had C Webb back in the day, because people were talking like, oh no, the Warriors are gonna sell out half of Golden One Arena. I'm like, nah, dog.
Yeah, those Kings fans were ready. Some of those pictures outside after game 1, I was like, oh my God. Like, they were ready. I respect it. I respect any.
The only thing they got in Sacramento, and the team ain't been worth nothing for like 20 years.
True.
Like, I'd be losing my mind too. Like, they got no escape. Like, do they have a baseball? No, they don't have a baseball team. Do they have hockey? No.
They might. No, probably not.
I think they might have MLS.
Person, so I don't know.
I don't even think they have MLS. Like, they don't got nothing.
Couldn't imagine.
And they're like, Kings.
Is Sacramento the capital of California? Pretty sure it is.
I have no idea.
I don't know either.
No idea what I've lived.
Might have made that up.
I don't know.
I was like, maybe they have that, but that's not anything exciting.
It is one of those cities you wouldn't think of is the capital.
Right. It's always not a big one, just like a random one. I feel like it could be.
It's like how Rochester is the capital of New York State.
Right. Right.
Like, that don't make no
People
sense.
people are gonna let me know in the comments if I'm wrong and roast me. So I'll be ready for it either way.
Mm-hmm. I can already hear them. I can already hear them. They're gonna be asking for your qualifications in the chat. Get ready. Get your resume ready, Ab.
Sorry, I don't study the Capitals too much anymore, guys.
Yeah, man. You failed your Cavs bad.
Right.
But that's gonna be it for this Cavs attack. We'll see what the Cavs do on the road at MSG. Let me know what your prediction is in the comment section below. Do you think the Cavs will leave out of this road stand 2-2, 1-3, 3-1? Let me know. Let me know. Let me know down in the comment section below. But for Ab, I'm Quincy. Make sure you check out Ab on Twitter, Abby_Mueller. Is it underscore? Is there another underscore there?
Another underscore. Yep.
Another
Not verified, even though it's gone for people now. I'm not verified.
No blue check is the new blue check. You know what I
Yep.
mean? Look, here's what's verification has always been. You follow me, I don't necessarily follow you back. Kind of situation.
That's it.
You come here for content. But that is where you'll find her stuff. Make sure you check out her SI Digest, where she posts about the Browns. Also, check out her podcast, Just a Girl from Cleveland, where she talks about Ohio State, the Guardians. Good luck with that all year. You know what I mean? It's going to be tough for you. The Guardians. Well, they always start out kind of and then they kind of get decent at the end. So, you know that ride with Tito. It's been the same thing for like 10 years.
It's a long year. Yeah.
Tito's been here for almost 10 years.
Yeah. Love the guy.
Has he been here longer than he's was at the Boston?
Maybe.
Wow.
Yeah, I'd have to look, but maybe, or at least close.
Because he was there 04 and 07, the 2 years they won it. And I feel like he got the job in like 03. And then he left in like 2011.
Then he definitely probably has.
This is great content for our audience. Let me Google Terry Francona. What's your over under? Do you think it's over or under?
I think it's here longer than there.
All right, so Terry Francona was head coach of the Boston Red Sox from 2004. I had it right, 2004 to 2011. So his first year there, he won it. Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah, 2004, 2011. So, yeah, he's been a Guardians coach longer than he's been.
We love to see it.
That's crazy. That's
Clevelander through and through now.
That's going to be the answer to a trivia question one of these days, y'all. That will be an answer to a trivia question. But for Ab, I'm Quincy. Make sure y'all check out the Cavs Attack every week, every Thursday during the playoffs and the regular season. Y'all have a great day. Have a good night.